what I'm really interested in seeing is Grim Plexus, and we're looking at it now, has some cap points around the edges, and really if you can control that back side of the map even, we've seen the cap strategy seems to be pretty effective in stock mode, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
if you can maybe grab Kappa and Epsilon, you know, and either your Gamma or Theta, or sorry, Sigma or Gamma, depending on what side you're spawning on, Theta kind of gets left alone because that tends to be where everyone gathers to have the main body
and
fighting.
It's in a bowl too. It's very hard when
Exactly.
everybody's trading across that. It's hard to get inside of that and be effective without getting punished. I wouldn't doubt seeing somebody trying and slipping in and out, but I also wouldn't doubt seeing a fight over Kappa, maybe even right off the bat. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to find out. That's to take a look.
It'll be interesting to see if either of these teams commits to a cap strat right away with their deck selection. We've seen that be really effective before. This map has a lot of cover around the edges where these caps are, so you could pull that off, I think, fairly well if you go for the cap strat and the opposing team, you know, does something different.
Maybe this would be a good time to bring in like that fast medium with the Phoenix Hawk, things like that, because you might need that extra pressure on the outside. You know, the fight in the middle is almost an afterthought with how far apart these caps are and how slow these mechs are moving. I wouldn't be surprised to see people kind of fighting on the outskirts here with that general fight in the middle. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I mean, it's really all about controlling Theta in the middle and letting these lights and mediums do their job.
Yeah, you can't ignore the middle because you can't give up Theta. I mean, if you leave it alone, that's just a free cap for one team or the other to take, but it is very interesting to me. I think this map will play out with more of a cap strat, but we saw the Phoenix Hawk used by Dudes Club in the previous games actually very effectively, and I think you'll see them again.
So I'm over on the Swamp Fox's side. We're seeing a Locust in play, a Javelin, a Wolfhound. Looks like they just went with the standard 3 lights. Not a lot of surprises here where they have the Awesome, the Black Knight, Stalker, and Banshee.
The Smoke Adders, on the other hand, are bringing in some surprises. Spider 5V, the Phoenix Hawk we just talked about is in there, Locust. These are fast mechs that they brought in, especially that Spider.
Yeah, we saw a Spider in use against with Imperial, actually, bringing that Spider and getting the locks for their Lerm boats. But it's also just generally a fast light. And I believe, is the 5V the variant that, does it have stock ECM?
We're going to take a peek.
He's got only 2 medium lasers on this Spider, but it's fast. He's getting into Theta for the early cap right now.
Yeah, an interesting move off the bat for 373 Smoke Adders is
Doesn't look
they
like there's
give up
ECM.
Kappa, not contesting that. No, I do not believe that Spider has ECM. But they go after Theta, get Theta, and instead
There's
they
a
give
full
up
cap on Theta.
They're gonna go for Epsilon. It looks like if they can take it, so they will have the 3 cap. But I'm curious on the basically leaving Kappa uncontested decision here.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad play. I mean, they're going for the Epsilon. They've brought a lot of really fast mechs that can respond if somebody goes around to the backside. They've basically brought mechs that can respond to light movement. Oh, it looks like we have a strike on the Locust. I don't think he sees it. Oh, he's dodging everything.
He dodged it.
Dodged everything.
He's at 100%.
He's at 100%. That was a good strike, but just couldn't make a connection there. Criven's going up on the left side.
Around the corner. I don't know. I think
he's got the jump jets, though. He can see him. He knows he's there.
And hopefully he's relayed that information to the other light pilots in the area. There are 3. The Phoenix Hawk is back up there as well. There are 3 mechs on that hill. And it looks like Criven might do a little bit of harassing with that Spider. He doesn't have a lot of firepower. The Locust comes in as well. They've got to be careful here. There's a lot of mechs on that corner. You can't lose these lights early on.
Yeah, the information is ammunition, however, and they are, oof, Criven taking a big hit there, down to 70 or 87.
Black Knight, and I think they're pulling out, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, they've kind of baited them around. They might lose Epsilon because of it, but now this fast-moving group could respond in another direction. They've got the 3 cap, and I think instead of necessarily right off the bat trying to go full cap strat, I think they're just kind of feeling out Swamp Foxes, trying to see what they're going to do, and they'll respond accordingly. Yes, they may lose Epsilon here, but they've got 4 fast movers. They could easily send somebody back over for an easy cap on Kappa if they want to go long.
I'd like to see that move on Kappa maybe with 1 mech
Right.
And then they're kind of holding this position right here. Looks like they've got the Stalker with some LRMs. The rest of these mechs are kind of what we've seen before. Large lasers, PPCs on the Banshee, the Awesome. And it's just a question of,
and there,
can
we
they
have
delay
the Kappa
long
run.
enough?
Yep. So they, Smoke Adders, I think they put a lot of stock in the cap strat, in getting these fast movers out to the caps. And
yeah.
I think this beginning of the match, they didn't want to overextend or anything like that, or overreact to the movement of Swamp Foxes. They wanted to see what Swamp Foxes were going to do, allowed them to get into their positions. They're even sending a Black Knight across Theta, very low across Theta, almost baiting these guys out to try and contest him. It could be dangerous for him, though.
Interesting strategy. He is out in the open. If 228 decides to push hard, he is going to be
we do have
trouble,
the Phoenix Hawk and the Locust on the right.
Him.
Two of the light mechs, or at least the light and the medium, backing up that Black Knight, moving up the right side, just trying to get some harassing in the back. But they've got the 3 cap again. Now they're going to lose Sigma, though. So are they going to try and go through and get Gamma? At this point, Smoke Adders knows where 228 is. They know what they're doing in terms of the caps now that they see Sigma flashing. They have the Locust available to go back and get a Gamma, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. But they saw him coming. They sent the Wolfhound and the Javelin, almost like a read. They read that they were going to say, okay, well, then we'll go get Gamma. They stretched off 2 of their lights to intercept and not let that Locust get a free cap on Gamma. And here we are.
I like that play by 228.
That was a very good play, getting those lights involved there. And now Lukoy in the Black Knight, getting some big hits on him before he could get into cover. Finally got across.
Yeah, I think Lukoy rotated a little too much because 228's sitting on that kind of side next to Epsilon. When he was at Theta, he had the terrain kind of helping him out. They couldn't peek very well. When he rotated out of Theta, he took a lot of damage doing that.
Exactly. Now, here that we are, kind of the 3 points in favor of Swamp Foxes. What do? My thought is to get those 4 fast movers and get them out to a point specifically for the case of maybe getting a gank on one of these cappers and taking care of business here. I don't know. They're just kind of holding them back now. They've shifted the Spider and the Locust to the opposite side now. So at least there's 2 of them.
2 Sigma for Smoke Adders. It looks like the Locust may be doing the same.
They have.
I like the position of 228, but I think they're rotating a little too much now. They're going to give up Sigma.
Yeah, they've pushed through actually very aggressively through the city. They've pushed Lukoy
I'm not sure
out.
I agree with that call.
He's retreating, but still taking damage. But yes, they are giving up Sigma. They do have the lights moving up on the right side, though. They will have a play for Kappa. I don't know if this Phoenix Hawk needs to get a little bit more involved in anti-light duty instead of just trying to trade with his medium or his large laser.
Yeah, 228 also needs to be careful they don't give up Epsilon. That's what I would worry about the most with this rotation. Now, they do have some mechs back there. They have a Banshee as well as the Awesome kind of still over in that location. But they need to be careful because there is a mech. That Locust is heading for Epsilon. They need to keep eyes on that cap. If they see it flashing, this Banshee's going to have to be the one to respond, but he's moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to respond. He's too slow. Lukoy getting chased by the lights. He's at the very least delaying their action for Kappa. They haven't gotten it yet. They're going for the kill instead of going for the cap, and that's actually flipping a 4 cap.
And this Banshee is out in the open right now by Theta. He's taking a lot of fire. He should have been back helping protect Epsilon. He is not doing so. Epsilon has been flipped. That movement by 228 kind of coming across Theta, I think, was the wrong move to make.
Lukoy is getting punished. They're finally sending somebody to Kappa, but he's basically trading armor for tickets at this point. By delaying those lights on that Kappa, they gained even more ground and are almost 100 tickets up with a 4 cap in their favor. Now Kappa finally now getting flipped, but the damage might be done. This Phoenix Hawk is still in the main body, just essentially at this point trying to slow people down, but that one guy, I'm assuming it's the Spider, doing nothing but capping at this point.
And the Banshee goes down. Trade a lot of damage on the Stalker for that. Stalker does go down for Smoke Adders, but I think they got the movement they want. Yeah. 228 has 4 mechs down in Theta, and they are in trouble.
You know, the Phoenix Hawk, I feel, might be just kind of a non-issue on this. He never really played for the caps at all. They just basically used that Spider and that Locust to just essentially out-cap Swamp Foxes. And Swamp Foxes, well, I think they had a great position they gave it up. They went on the push. I don't know if that was the right idea.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Swamp Foxes isn't going down without a fight. They've flipped Theta, or they're about to flip Theta. They've taken Kappa, but they've got mechs all around Theta, nowhere near the other 3 cap points.
Yep, the damage is
mechs
done.
Are surrounded.
The damage is done, and I think this one is going to go cleanly in favor of Smoke Adders here. I thought it was looking very good for Swamp Foxes, but then when they decided to push up through that left side, I don't know why they did it, because they had the 3 cap strong side. They could have kept their
really
lights on anti-light duty.
There.
Maybe they were failing the trades and felt the pressure that they needed to push, but I think they almost gave that one away.
Yeah, that to me, I agree. I think I liked their movement right before that. I liked them taking the 3 cap and holding kind of that hill over by Epsilon. I felt they had a strong position when they were moving up, and it seemed like they almost moved up to take out Lukoi and that Black Knight. It felt like they wanted to take him down. He just kept pulling back, and they kept following. You gotta realize that you're losing your advantageous position.
Yeah, even right up at the end when they were desperately trying to finish off Lukoi, that was the least of their issues at that point. They needed to break off and immediately flip Kappa just to buy them time. Yep. Lukoi doing a fantastic job keeping himself alive, using his armor properly, staying twisted properly, and then Crimson Shadow coming over the top with that hunchback to eventually say, hey, no, you're not going to get him. So he was able to live almost to the end there. That bought them precious time.
You see damage at 100 damage in the Black Knight. You'd like to see more damage out of that, but I think if you go back and look at that film, like you said, the value is in staying alive, and to me, it really felt like he was like a decoy.
He was bait. He was clearly
bait, and they fell for it.
Like, I don't know, it may have not been an intentional strat. Like, hey, Lukoi, go cross over there and make them chase you. I don't know if that was in their playbook from the beginning, but it worked, and there was a huge overreaction to Lukoi's presence on that side. Maybe Swamp Foxes thought that was their in, like they could get aggressive on that side,
get the kill,
take him out, get the kill.
A score,
But they didn't get him in time. He smartly got out of dodge. He had cover up over the top, and yes, he was losing a lot of armor, but he forced an entire team to rotate away from their trifecta of caps. Like I was really on board with what Swamp Foxes was doing from their positioning.
Agreed.
When they reacted to, okay, well, we've got the 3 cap on the side, then we send our 2 lights to block any attempt at Gamma. That was looking really good. I liked that. That was right where it needed. They didn't need to have Theta. But then that overreaction up to that side to just open the field up for that, just Criven, 0 damage. Well, he did 9 damage, but effectively just cruising up one after the other. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put some sort of cap accelerator on that spider, knowing he's not going to be important for
I'm
for
seeing
combat.
Messages from chat here that spider actually has a built-in cap accelerator quirk.
Wow.
So that's the
fully
secret in there.
Yep. And so the Phoenix Hawk, I expected to see a little bit more of wolf packing going on, but at the same time, if you got a spider that's basically non-combatant, he's the escort. You're escorting the spider to the cap point to accelerate these caps and stuff. His job was never to fight. It was to scout with the jump jets, and he did. He got 9 damage of scratching, but he mostly gave that early information, and then spent the rest of the information rest of the match avoiding the enemy and getting those back caps, and it worked absolutely fantastic for him.
Yeah, the thing I found interesting, if we think back to that kind of initial engagement, we were talking about the position 228 had, what happened with Lukoi. If you remember, Lukoi was down in Theta. We said, it's a bold strategy. He's down in Theta. He's, doesn't have a lot of cover if 228 decides to fire on him, but he had the help of his friends up in F6 kind of presenting that. And then he moved across Theta, and we kind of were talking and saying, I'm not sure that's the right call. He's taking a lot of fire. He starts backing out, and you wonder, was that calculated to kind of draw the attention of 228, or was it just kind of a happy accident that he winds up in a poor spot, backs away, and all of 228 follows him?
It was kind of sad watching just a bunch of slow guys trying to chase down a Black Knight who's backpedaling. It was the slowest chase ever, but they should have had that in mind, I guess. Swamp Foxes, I think, needed to rely a little bit more on territory control. They didn't have an extra mech necessarily to put into that backside, and maybe that's why they had the Phoenix Hawk, is because if they said, okay, well, the light mechs are causing, you know, they're bringing the fight, basically. It looks like we're going to have a repeat on Grim Plexus. You know, the light mechs, if they're fighting the other light mechs, we need to support them. That might be where they call in that Phoenix Hawk to try and wolf pack it out. So Smoke Adder's really ready for anything in that situation, but I still think, just personally, that Swamp Foxes would have been better off just trying to hold that side of the map and maybe shaving off another one of their mechs to at least play blocker or try and force them into them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think they needed to fight over Theta, and that's tough. I mean, I guess they technically outgunned. They did outgun Smoke Adders.
They out-damaged them. They got the kills, but it doesn't matter if you lose the tickets, and they're gonna have to sit down and say, okay, what went wrong? What can we do this time? Now they are on the other side of Grim, so we're back on Grim. They're starting on the other side. We'll see if that affects the strategy, or maybe they just want to clean up what they were doing and say, you know what, we shouldn't have done that. We had the control. And on the other hand, your Smoke Adders, you just won. You did a good job, but you did take a lot of damage. You did lose a lot of mechs, and you didn't get a lot of kills. So is there something that you think you need to do better, or should you be prepared for a different response from 228 than what you got that last game?
Just seems to me like I feel, and I know it's kind of weird, I feel like we need an extra 250 tickets here, because with stock mode implemented, it just takes that much longer to bring people down. And so you can go in guns a-blazing, but the cleanup takes so long that they just dedicate that one spider to just outcap you, and you don't have an answer. So because the main, and we were saying at the beginning, almost seems like that main fight was an afterthought, or it was a secondary objective in this case. On this map, at least, you know, if we had an extra 250 tickets, maybe things could develop a little bit more. But I don't know. It's tough to say. They're gonna have to have an answer for that spider, and the spider's gonna be slippery. He's fast. He's not gonna allow himself to necessarily get ganked. You can certainly try. What answers do you have? Because I don't even think they have streaks or anything like that, right?
The key thing that you need to worry about, I think, with the spider is just keeping an eye on him, right? He's not going to beat you on his own with 2 medium lasers.
No.
You should be able to outduel that spider. So if you can kind of have lights, maybe send one light to one cap and one light to the other, that spider shows up, and you should be able to at least win that fight. Or you maybe go with the wolf pack and try and catch him. But I think, you know, like we said, on this map, it's cap strat, but we've been saying it all day, and I think it just continues to hold true. Light play is winning these matches, and it's got to be smart light play. You've got to be aggressive, but at the same time, you have to stay alive, because it makes such a difference having those lights on the field.
I think we just saw the same thing happen to RJF as well, where they were using their lights in a more traditional fashion of backstabbing and harassment, while the other team just focused on the caps, and they were able to run the caps and get the job done. You know, it almost seems like that traditional use of the lights, while it has value, you still need to have someone controlling the caps. You can't just ignore them. And I really felt like this last drop here, what I was missing the most and what I expected to see and didn't see was a light fight. Not a single light fight.
We never saw it.
No attempt to control the caps from the lights. And while Smoke Adders came into it planning for that with that Phoenix Hawk, it never happened. They never needed to use the Phoenix Hawk in any sort of light fight. So once again, Criven stabbing forward for that Theta cap, going full speed. He might get contested this time, though. They're sending
228 also going for
Javelin.
the 2 initial edge caps as well.
So they're trying to mimic what Smoke Adders just did, getting Theta Kappa Sigma, but we've got Criven trying to contest Theta right off the bat. Now, I believe that Javelin has more firepower, so if Criven gets into Theta and isn't able to get the flip, he might get chased off here.
And he's going to get there first, so this Javelin's going to know there's someone there. He's going to see it. This is his chance. Get some shots down.
If he doesn't get it, yeah, look at how fast that flipped. It was so fast. Now, Criven does have backup, though. The Phoenix Hawk now coming in. That was
and this
such a
Javelin
fast
needs to be
flip.
careful. He's taking fire. He needs to get out of town. get under cover, and instead, he's running down that channel. That's not where you want to be.
Swamp Fox is no answer to that super fast cap from that Spider. Getting Theta early, and then Epsilon even. We're looking at a quick 3 cap for Smoke Adders. They're going to have to come up with a response, and I don't think fighting lights over Theta is going to be it. It's going to have to be an edge fight.
It is, and actually the Wolfhound, it looks like, for Swamp Fox is maybe expecting a move towards Sigma. He was waiting there. No one came, so Epsilon now 3 cap basically falls uncontested, and it looks like Swamp Fox is maybe pushing up towards that side.
They're
trying
bringing
to
the
catch
Black Knight.
Lights.
Yep.
They need to take out that Spider. I mean, that's the big contestant, but at the same time, you know, Smoke Adder's also moving to that side. We could have a little bit of a early engagement here over that hill by Epsilon.
This side of the map is just so key, and you know, they've got Kappa. So Swamp Foxes are pretty happy with that, at least bleeding in their favor, but they need Epsilon, and they're going to get it here. At least we might see some strikes, some strategic strikes placed, just like last time, even though that last one kind of failed. But they're trying to get some scratching.
They managed to get 2 mechs on, 3 mechs now on.
They were able to stop it.
Epsilon.
The bad thing about having multiple mechs on there, though, is it's usually easier to stop the cap through gunfire.
Yeah.
But Spider, Kriven, bravely moving up against Odin Steel there. I don't know if he knew there were 3 guys there, but he's going to get chased off, taking a little bit of extra scratch. They were able to distract him off of Epsilon for at least a period of time, though, with that bait. I don't know if that was genius or insanity, but it worked, at least for a short time.
It worked. The one downside to that, too, is they put a UAV up, and were able to get actually, that was Kriven put the UAV up, but it doesn't look like there's any LRMs on the field for the Smoke Adders.
So we do have a main body engagement, though. Swamp Foxes has moved up across Theta. They're not attempting to cap it yet, but they are trying, once again, this main body fight to just control the field here. They've crossed clear across, and they're putting
this is very
Smoke Adders in a tough fighting position here. It's tough to defend back there. I actually kind of like what Swamp Foxes is doing, but they need to start getting the kills now. And they have their lights up there trying to join the fight on this left side.
Okay, there is a Stalker on the field for Smoke Adders, so there are a couple LRMs flying across the field here. Those LRMs really do help soften up some of these guys in these kind of long duration engagements like what's going on. That being said, right now, Smoke Adder's back capping on Kappa. It looks like we do have 228 moving the Awesome up to take Theta. That's the right move because the fight really has gone away from the circle there. So you got to take advantage of these opportunities when you can get them in order to get the cap points and stay on top of this. But Kappa now falling.
But they are managing to get Theta, and we do have the first kill. Swamp Foxes have killed the Banshee, which is a big one for them, and they're going to pick up Theta as well, which will give them some breathing room. Those 2 lights are in the cap game here, but they're going to be swinging to Sigma. They're going to try doing the same thing.
I like the aggression by 228 here.
This is good aggression, but it just cost them the Banshee. So we got 2 Banshees down. They still need to work on getting accurate focus fire, and they've got Smoke Adders all shoved behind the same group of cover, and a big strike coming in here. Looks like it just missed off the side. They need to clean up quick, though, because those 2 cappers, they're actually coming to join the fight as well. Locust and Spider are going on the Awesome.
Full speed ahead for 228, but Iron Kilo goes down on the Stalker. That's big for Smoke Adders.
So they've opted, instead of running the cap game, they're going for the kills here. Smoke Adders lost Lukoi in the Black Knight, which is a big pickup, but they're not going for the back caps like I originally thought. They're harassing the Awesome in the back. They are getting the Locust in there to help.
Yeah, but these lights are going to ignore that Locust for as long as they come. Here comes the Assassin as well. They've got to protect this Awesome.
He's backing out. Looks like he lost one of his PPCs by losing that shoulder. Dark Light in the Black Knight goes down for Swamp Foxes. They're really making a last stand around this corner here. Everybody's stalled out around this single pillar. Unfearing in the Stalker down to 43%.
The Locust is still on this Awesome, and they just cannot get him away. Mad Cat is just causing all sorts of problems right now for 228.
The PPCs on the Awesome are gone. He's effectively neutered. Kriven and the Spider does go down. That's a pretty big pickup right there. Taking these lights out could be the difference. Even if they don't kill main body, keeping their lights alive would be huge. And they do have the Locust and the Javelin. They're bringing them back into the fight. I'm wondering if that's the bad play. Get them out of there. Get them capping. Finish this.
The Javelin
with
does
a cap.
kill the Phoenix Hawk, which is also good. Yeah, I think these lights need to be disengaged.
The Locust, is he legged? The Locust is legged. They don't have any effective lights in the field. They need to break off and just make sure they secure the caps, and this one's going to be in favor of Swamp Foxes.
Javelin is still engaging. The Locust is right up on top of him. He needs to get out of there.
It may not matter. I mean, they've got the 3 caps. They've got the ticket leads. But at this point, if Smoke Adders manages to win this fight, they still lose.
Yeah.
Just break off, get an easy cap, and you win.
And it's self-destruction by Odin in the Wolfhound, but still, you're right. I think
looks like they made the call. They made the call. The Locust is breaking off. He's going to go to Kappa. Dr. Killer is going to probably go Theta and just protect it as long as he can. And this one might be in the bag for Swamp Foxes.
Yeah, you're right. This game is over as far as we're concerned. That's it.
So
Good
they
play
brought
by 228 being aggressive.
Smoke Adders brought their spider, both of their lights that were capping. They brought them into the main engagement and then lost them.
That's the wrong call.
If they went straight to Sigma, I think Smoke Adders had this one, but they opted to join the fight. They kept their main body alive, at least what's left of it.
And this Hunchback is chasing the Javelin for Smoke Adders. He's not even going to Theta. He's gonna let the legged Locust get there. That's gonna take way too long. That's a sliver cap on Theta, and the Hunchback could have easily neutralized it in a half a second.
Well, he's gonna get it,
you're
but
still waiting for it.
Yeah, and so Kappa's gonna fall in favor of Swamp Foxes, and no doubt he's gonna swing around, maybe go Gamma. Otherwise, I mean, with the amount of tickets remaining, just defend the points. I think the Javelin's gonna attempt. Oh, he gets legged though. That might be a little bit of a mix-up here. Javelin manages to get himself legged by that Hunchback. If McGraw can get him legged and immediately flip Epsilon, maybe it's not over yet.
I'm just not sure they have the firepower to be able to do that right now with the legged Locust and awesome
did he just lose the shoulder? He did. The Hunchback only has 2, but self-destruction by Dr. Killer, that might cost him. Epsilon's gonna slip. Still 2 caps remaining. It's still... Man, it's going to be close.
The tough part right now for 228, they're doing the right thing. The Locust is going to cap, but he's got the furthest distance to go because he can't go to Theta. So what does he do? He has to go around the Gamma.
And they're sending someone to Gamma immediately. It's the legged Locust. He's not going to be able to do anything.
Never going to make it. Awesome is the other mech going to Kappa. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it.
I don't think it's enough.
228 squeezes through.
I think they're going to squeeze through. Yep.
But we do have the Hunchback going to Sigma as well. Yeah, it's just not enough at this point.
If their Locust was not legged, I think Smoke Adders would have had it. But bringing those lights back into the fight, I think, cost them this drop.
Yeah, I would agree. Even just leave the Spider out of it. The Spider's got 2 medium lasers.
He was not going to really be a big
going to win that fight for you.
He could have had an easy Sigma. I mean, maybe he was bored or something. I don't know, but he would have had an easy Sigma. That was definitely a close one. Very hard fought, but Swamp Fox is pulling back and drawing this into a 1-1.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about Swamp Foxes that sticks out to me is pull those lights out sooner. They had them in that fight for longer than they needed to be. They legged the Locust. They got the Spider down. At the moment that happens, just lights out, and you basically guarantee a victory there. So that's something they can clean up, but a much better job this time of controlling. Smoke Adders. Spider's a cap mech, not a combat mech. You know, you gotta keep that guy doing what he does best.
I think Smoke Adders could have been just fine losing their awesome and losing their Hunchback and just sacrificing their main body, their job, like we said before, just delay. They could have lost the main body fight and still won the war if they didn't bring that Spider into that fight. But bringing Kriven in and trying to backstab that awesome, it took them way too long to even rip those PPCs off, and then they paid for it with their lives. Whoever shot the Spider and whoever legged the Locust, MVP right there, because that right there won that one for Swamp Foxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 1-1 on the series. It's all going to come down to this. And they're right back into the map strat. Or the map banning.
We are triple Grim.
Triple Grim. If your entire strat is based around capping, I guess Grim is the place to do it, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
We saw a little bit of skirmishing there with the lights this time, a little bit more effort on the map control, but really Swamp Foxes this time going at it, no delay, crossing the plane, just getting into their faces and bringing it to the main body. And that aggression early on, I think, is what made Smoke Adders recall their lights. It was early enough that it maybe said, okay, well, you got to get back here. If we lose the fight, we might lose the war. So we got to get back here instead of going to cap. But the fight dragged on long enough that I think still is sticking with your original plan of the cap strat could have still pulled it off for Smoke Adders.
Yeah, I think that pressure by 228 this time kind of caused a miscalculation on the part of Smoke Adders, and we've been talking about it all day again. Mobility, mobility, mobility. In these stock modes, you don't have it. And we're so used to, especially these guys, both teams with a ton of competitive experience. As drop callers, you're so used to having the ability. You win the fight, spread out and cap. You've got the ability, your heavies all go 80 kph, your mediums all go 90 to 100, your assaults move at least 60. You've got that ability. Well, guess what? Now you got an Annihilator. If you bring in him, he goes at 30. Your heavies might go 60. Your Hunchback maybe, a little faster than that. So depending, it could go a little slower. And so it's just something I think that these teams have to adjust to, have to get used to this concept of maybe winning the fight isn't going to help with your cap strat. Maybe just going pure cap strat and delaying doesn't have to delay as long. Previously, it was hard to do. It was hard to win a cap strat by the delaying method.
Right, because there's so much damage on the field. People died too quick, and then they just spread out and won the match. But this is definitely a different game, different play style. And, props to the Smoke Adders, though, making their last stand there behind a single pillar and actually brought the fight back into Swamp Foxes. It was not an easy fight. But that aggression of Swamp Foxes pushing through Theta allowed them to then get Theta comfortably because they shoved Smoke Adders into a corner. Yes, they had to make a last stand, but they gained all that terrain and were able to then cleanly just hold on to it. But I do think that Smoke Adders gave that one away with their late play. Agreed.
And I think, like you said, the aggression clearing out Theta, that turns the game. If you didn't have Theta, it's a completely different situation, right? But being able to take Theta and keep Theta is very important. But yeah, taking the lights back, again, Smoke Adders, even just leave the Spider out there. The Spider is your secret weapon. He's got the cap accelerator, just leave him to do his business. 7v8 with the amount of firepower that stock mechs have, you can last for a lot longer and delay for a lot longer, and so that Spider suddenly is even more valuable. You just, with 2 medium lasers, is he really going to help that much?
Absolutely. So both teams getting righted up here. I think Smoke Adders possibly going back to review what happened there and try and figure it out. One pilot out, maybe swapping out some mechs or something like that, maybe fixing a skill tree or something like that, but he'll be coming back in and we'll be getting ready up and launching shortly. But Grimplex is definitely some interesting gameplay, very, very cap-centric though so far.
Yeah.
This map, and maybe this is why one of the reasons why we haven't been seeing Grim all that often so far, is because it is so cap-centric that, it forces the main body engagement to be a secondary objective, like I stated earlier, which not everybody's on board with, I think, but you play in this to win, and I have no qualms about that. Like, do whatever it takes to win, and if it means outcapping your enemy and just using the rest of your team as bait, do it. That's a winning strategy, and they're using it effectively here.
Yeah, and to me, the cap strat, people say, oh, well, you're not in fighting, you're not engaging, whatever. I almost think it's harder on a drop caller to run a cap strat than it is to run any other type of strategy, right? At the end of the day, most strats, push strats, trade strats, comes down to just outshooting your enemy. Cap strats are all about timing and positioning, holding to the territory and area denial, and that's tough to manage. It's tough to get timing down.
Yep.
And we've been talking about it in stock modes. It's a different timing than what these guys are used to. They've got the experience in comp play. Both these teams have been playing for a long time, but this is a different game.
Well, we might have a crash here.
Looks like it. We'll have to see what the referee calls. Possibly a redrop coming up.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to our cams here, just not to give anything away in case, well, they're going to see each other's mechs most likely. So yeah, everybody needs to disconnect so that way they can't see each other's mechs. And then we'll destroy the lobby. In fact, me and you need to disconnect as well. That'll destroy that game, and hopefully nothing's been given away. I'm glad they called the crash before I showed anything on the screen. So hopefully there'll still be an element of surprise if somebody decided they wanted to switch something up. So that's the first crash of the semifinals so far. So been doing pretty good, and thankfully there's a procedure in place for these kind of situations. Most likely will require everybody to get re-invited into the lobby, because when you destroy it, it kills it. So yeah, I mean, very, very fun, just exciting gameplay here by both teams, bringing it into that 1-1. A lot of times in cap strats, I feel like it's your main body's mostly, you know, they're a decoy, and they're based around delay, you know, and we've seen this like on Polar Highlands. The first one that comes to mind is Isengrim, when we saw them run a cap strat on there, and it was all about sacrificing and just keeping your guys difficult to kill, keep them moving, and then they cap them out. Same kind of concept run here. Now, Swamp Foxes, they didn't run a full cap strat, but they went and capped the 3 they needed. But then I think they left it open for the Smoke Adders to take it away from them, but they never did.
Yeah.
They brought it all into the main body fight, and they went aggressive across. If Swamp Foxes was running a full cap strat, like a full cap strat, I don't think we would have seen them push across Theta like they did. But they really went for territory control, and they went, I think it was basically a counter to the cap strat. They got their own caps as well, but they really got in their faces to try and stop them from running around and getting a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and you're putting pressure on the other team by doing that, and like I said, part of me wonders if that's a play towards what these teams are used to. You start getting pressured, and you're like, we need you back, you know, to your lights, saying we've got to engage, you know, the enemy, we've got to slow them down, they're pushing too fast, we can't outcap them at this. You know, whether it would have been any different if they didn't pull the lights back, I think it would have. Especially seeing how, you know, Smoke Adders really in that main engagement, I mean, they were getting pressured, but they started pushing back too, and 228 was not winning that as cleanly as I'm sure they would have liked to do. But you're right, that was more of a territory control than a, you know, we're going to sit back and let the lights just go around and just stay alive for as long as we can.
Exactly. So reforming the lobby, we'll be back in there shortly. Just a reminder, we are doing a giveaway today based on chat participation, so get hyped up in chat, get into the conversation, you'll be automatically entered in for the drawing for a mech pack. Watching it, we've got a clean 121 people in chat so far, chatting it up, so get in there, get involved, and get some hype going. But so far, a very interesting set of matches today, and really a variety. I've seen a good variety of both maps and gameplay so far, so I'm really excited to see what that brings towards the latter half of the semifinals as well as the grand finals in Vancouver.
Yeah, and we've seen what so far today, a couple Rubelite, a couple Canyon, and a couple Grim Plexus, so I guess we're missing Mining and why can't I think of the final map here? It's just past me.
The final map. So we got Grim Plexus, Mining Collective, Rubelite Oasis, Canyon Network,
Caustic Valley. That's the one we haven't seen today. We have seen those earlier in the weekend, but not today. But we've seen some really aggressive pushes. You know, that second drop in the RJF versus Dudes Club match was just pure aggression. There was no caps involved. We've seen Dudes kind of do this cap strat, map control. Now we've seen 2 different map control, you know, cap strat sort of things in 228 versus Smoke Adders. And so, you know, we're seeing kind of these different strategies, and it's kind of fun to see. You know, like I said, 3 on Grim. We were just talking about how Grim wasn't getting played. Here it is. So hopefully we keep this up in the semifinals.
The interesting thing is going to be, okay, both of these teams seem to like Grim. They both seem to have strats built around Grim. What happens when they go up a team that doesn't want to play Grim, and they'll ban Grim? I want to see what these guys can come up with on some of these
what
other
else
maps.
do they have?
So at the very least, they didn't have to kind of show their strats at all. Since they played Grim, it's almost predictable, and they're just kind of refining against each other. But that means they've got other maps in their back pocket to use against the next teams that they run up against. On the bracket here, the winner of this matchup will be fighting JGX next week, and the loser will move down to the losers bracket, and will play the loser of 6, which is Phoenix Legion versus 228th Blackwatch. Of course, 228th Blackwatch 2 times in the, well, one time in World Championships so far. That was last year, because of course we had the Wild Ones making it in 2016 when they had the individual regions all separate. But I'm sure Blackwatch wanting to make it into the top 3 yet again.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun watching Swamp Foxes also be involved in this. So we've got 3 228 teams. Obviously, they're a big unit. They've got a lot of support in chat. People, showing their 228 pride, and it's kind of exciting to see watching the semifinals here.
Absolutely. So the teams are entering the lobby. They'll redo the map vote to pick Grim Fluxus again, and then we'll be moving on. So we're just waiting for the groups to get in. Unfortunately, crashes happen, and at least nothing was given away. So if somebody was playing kind of a switch up strat to catch somebody off guard, I don't think we've given any of that information out. So teams of course have to disconnect and get back in a timely manner, and then we'll be underway for drop 3. Taking a look here, showing you the map again for Grimplexus. It's an asymmetrical map. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It is symmetrical, but it's offset. You've got both squads here spawning in this lower area, but a lot of the action, of course, happening in this region here. You don't usually see anything out in the open fields here. We did see that one time Lukoi cutting across and then making his way into that other city in the first drop. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of that. Running out of things to say, but both teams finally in lobby.
They're in lobby. We're getting back there.
We're getting there.
It'll be interesting to see how these 2 teams play it again. If you're Smoke Adders, I think you look back at that and say calling the lights back was a mistake. If you're 228, clearly being a little more aggressive worked better for you than sitting back and trying to react to the caps that Smoke Adders are doing in that first round. So now both teams have kind of done something that's worked for them. We're on the same map. This map is definitely kind of orients you towards a cap strat. So it's a question of, what do we need to do, to outperform the other team, to do better, to have a better strategy and to get the win, or are one of these teams going to change it up and do something totally different because they're both expecting the cap strat?
I think Swamp Foxes needs to be careful, because it worked last time. They can't get complacent though, because in my mind, Smoke Adders had a very easy fix. If everything plays out exactly the same, if they keep that spider out of the fight, they win. Yeah, that's going to be a really easy fix, and it's really easy to say, Criven, don't go in next time. Sorry, I've made a bad call or something, or you made a bad call running in. Whatever. Easy fix. Swamp Foxes loses. Swamp Foxes is going to have to respond to that somehow, either killing the other team faster or just playing this completely differently. I don't know. So they cannot get complacent. They cannot allow Smoke Adders to basically fix their mistake and come away with a win.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I think the margin for error is pretty small on 228 Swamp Foxes, but if you're 228, you've got to tell yourself you had the success. The first round didn't go the first drop didn't go how you wanted it to. Second drop was a lot better. You can win this one. You just have to clean it up a little bit, maybe do something a little different to kind of ensure that you have that control. But you're right, you can't let that spider have free reign. They got a little lucky last time. They're going to have to figure out how they can make sure that he doesn't take over that match.
But finally, we're getting in there. Hopefully no disconnects this time. like to see this one come to a conclusion and put a cap on this exciting day of MechWarrior.
Hopefully everyone gets in game successfully.
See what comes up in chat.
Grimplexus is one of those interesting maps to me because it's very big, but all around it are these, you know, giant mountains basically that kind of take away a lot of the areas for combat in this map. Like we said, that's why you're seeing these cap strats going in. So kind of a different feel to it in stock mode. It's definitely interesting to see how these teams are playing it, but so far cap strats are king on this map.
So we've got Swamp Foxes coming in from that southern region again. Seeing any big changes at all?
Wolfhound, Javelin, Awesome, Black Knight, Stalker, Locust. It doesn't look like any changes on Swamp Foxes, and I'm not seeing really any changes on Smoke Adders as well. So I guess both these teams have decided they know what they want to do on this map. It's just a matter of getting it done.
So after 2 attempts to take Theta from that spider, they're not going to contest him this time. They're just going to give it to him willingly, utilizing their mechs to get the Kappa Gamma side and maybe even push on to Epsilon. It'll be interesting to see if we end up with a fight over Epsilon. I don't know if the Sigma guy is going to be moving that way or if Kriven's going to cut over. But they do have a Wolfhound, Odin Steel, going straight to Epsilon right off the bat.
Yeah, and that spider is just such a weapon. I mean, Theta's about to be full capped before 228 even gets in a position to shoot at Theta.
I think everybody that's in the semifinals, if they didn't know the power of the spider already, they know it now, and we'll have to see over the next week if they modify their decks at all.
Arachnophobia being developed here among these semifinal teams.
Kriven immediately heading over to Kappa. You know, that's the bad thing about the cap and go. The Locust getting away from Kappa right off the bat, but gonna concede it almost immediately to
We
Kriven.
are going to have a little bit of a light combat. No light combat at Epsilon, actually. It's the Locust for Smoke Adders turns around when he sees Epsilon start to flash. Decides he does not want to engage at this point.
Smoke Adders definitely taking the preserving their lights to heart here, keeping them out of the fight and just really utilizing that spider to neutralize Kappa almost immediately and swap it right back. That is a very powerful mech for only having 2 medium lasers.
Yeah, it is. Smoke Adders being a little bit more aggressive almost, it seems like, presenting up top on that hill. Taking some fire from 228, but giving it back. And both teams, like we've talked about, range is not on their side in stock modes with these mechs. You know, PPCs have a 500 meter of range, the large lasers as well, AC-10s on the field. These are not your long range weapons you're used to seeing in comp play.
Lukoi making his move kind of across the field again, doubling back a little bit early, but you know, I'm still waiting to see this light fight, this gank attempt to control that spider, and it's just not coming. They are sending their guy to Sigma, so this is kind of setting up like we saw in the first drop where they control half the map, but you can see that spider already arcing towards Gamma. He's going to try and get into their backfield. They're going to have to, at some point, pull these 2 lights, the Javelin and the Wolfhound. If they had intuition as to what's about to happen to him, they'd be pulling these guys off to Gamma to get the catch.
Yeah, where is that other light? The Javelin there. Yeah, they're Javelin and Wolfhound kind of hanging out
like
on the
trading.
edge. Maybe they're hoping that they'll catch one of the lights heading to Sigma, but they are moving up. They're not really involved in engaging here. That being said, there is a Locust for Smoke Adders running around in the main body as well.
He dropped a UAV.
He dropped a UAV, and he is not involved in capping either. It's really that spider capping, and that's it. But he is going to get the Gamma pretty soon here.
At this point, when Gamma starts flipping, it's going to be a bit of a surprise, but they're actually sending the Wolfhound, the Javelin, and the Hunchback up the right side. They're using these mechs to fight and not to combat the cap strat. Are we going to see like a hard push come out of Swamp Foxes here in a minute? But they've got the Phoenix Hawk and the Locust ready for it.
When Gamma gets flashing, that's basically what Swamp Foxes are going to have to do.
Yep. Well, it's flashing now, and it's going to flip very quick. If they didn't hear the announcement, here it is. Wolfhound and Javelin getting up there. They're using these guys to fight. They're not using them to combat the cap strat. And we're
And here's
already
the
seeing a
danger of the
movement to
push.
Epsilon.
Yeah, we've got the Locust going to Epsilon. These mechs are moving up and right behind them. I mean, they're keeping these lights right on the edges of the combat almost, it seems. As soon as combat goes one way, they move up behind, take the cap points. 228 does not have an answer for this.
I think the only saving grace for Swamp Foxes is if they can win this fight extremely quickly. If they can bring down main body very quickly, they can spread out and perhaps still win the cap. But they're going to be 4 capped now, and it's going to add up. Smoke Adder's losing a Banshee right off the bat, so that's a good start, but they need to keep going.
They're peaking too much here. They need to power position this. They need to move up. None of this backing up back down the hill, trying to avoid damage. They need to go and get kills now.
At this point, the only thing that will save them is a quick and decisive main body victory. Or a light gank.
Yeah,
they
and
got
there
the
is
awesome
Locust going back to see if he can get the fire on Epsilon, but he's now being engaged by at least the Locust for Smoke Adders, and there's other mechs in the area. He's got to be real careful.
Lukoi stopped the recap of Theta and dropped a strike as well. Good point, good play by Lukoi, and the backstab here coming in from the Phoenix Hawk. They're not able to flip Theta back. They were hoping for an easy, clean flip to buy them time. Looks like they finally almost got it neutralized. The harassment from the Phoenix Hawk.
Theta neutralized.
Lukoi finally goes down in the Black Knight. They need to finish
Sigma
up.
Is going down with that spider. They can't spend time fighting at this point. It needs to be capping.
Locust fight over Epsilon. Neither are able to get the cap, which is going in favor of Smoke Adders. It's a full cap.
And that Locust is now getting shot in the back by the Phoenix Hawk too. He is in a world of trouble right now.
They're sending one off for an easy cap at Theta, or Kappa, that will hopefully buy them time. And they are sending one off to Sigma, but the time is ticking away here.
Yeah, and they need to send a mech to each cap point as best as they can. That Locust needs to be on Epsilon. He is disengaging at this point, and I don't know why. And finally he turned around, but that's valuable seconds that he just gave up on the cap. And now there's a strike coming in that
and the Phoenix Hawk is going to harass him again. This light play over Epsilon is doing a fantastic job controlling. But yeah, they need to be protecting every single point. They got somebody on Kappa, they got somebody on Sigma. That will buy them a little bit of time, and it really comes down to now Dark Light in the Black Knight getting on the cap point at Epsilon. He's going to get harassed, he's going to get struck out, but he's got the armor he needs to just sit on the point and control it.
The question is, can he neutralize it in time? 640 points, there's 2 right now. That the other big fight here is going to be at Gamma, actually. Taking a look at Gamma.
I think Swamp Foxes have a good chance on this, but Sigma and Gamma are going to be the fights to watch here. Draven does not know he's about to get jumped on. They stop the cap.
An extra shot that hurts.
He has no support too. It might all come down to both this and the Sigma fight.
We have gained Epsilon.
Epsilon flips. We've got a fight at Sigma, a fight at Gamma. One-on-one for both of these. If Swamp Foxes can win these fights, I think they win the match. If Smoke Adders keeps the fights alive.
Now, Sigma did flip, but I don't see Kriven necessarily winning this one. But he's a good shooter.
Wolfhound. He doesn't have the firepower against this Wolfhound. It's more tanky.
Really, Odin staying alive is the big thing. He doesn't even necessarily need to kill Kriven. He lost a shoulder. He's down to 2 medium lasers. But if Odin stays alive, they've got it. If he dies, though, that flip is going to go quick. And it looks like there's 2 mechs now fighting over Gamma. There's a Phoenix Hawk down to 48%. The Black Knight is chasing him. Draven Cult gets taken down. So Gamma is secured.
The Phoenix Hawk does go down.
But I don't think they are going to be able to pull it off with only 1 cap. It's going to come down to this fight. And Odin Steel still staying alive against Kriven. And he's got backup on the way.
Yeah, if he can just stay alive a little bit longer, that backup's going to come around the corner. And this is going to go in 228's favor. That Black Knight moving to Gamma. He's going to neutralize that cap.
Kriven's pulling off. I think he saw the support coming in. He's going to pull off. But I think that might have just sealed it.
Yeah.
It's going to be tight, though,
for that fight.
Oh man, it's going to be close. Four tickets per tick, but Gamma now getting flipped.
Gamma now being neutralized.
Yep. Okay,
Can they stop Gamma? No, they don't have.
I think that's Swamp Foxes. That's going to be a Swamp Foxes win right there.
You can fax that one in.
Yep. What a very spread out amount of fighting there. Goodness gracious. They do have a Locust trying to get to Theta, but they left the Banshee there smartly. And even though the Banshee is pretty weak, it says he's dead. I don't know.
Yep, that's game. All caps neutralized. Locust has killed the Banshee, but it's
too little too late. And that one with a 5 cap going in favor of Swamp Foxes. Well played. That was definitely a close one.
Odin Steel staying alive on that Wolfhound won that match.
Oh, and he even gets the stop on Theta right at the end. Dr. Killer and the Javelin.
Wow.
Insult to injury there, but 732 to 750 on the tickets. What an exciting match all over the place, and they found a way to stop that spider from running all over them. Just sit a Wolfhound on it.
It was close. They found a way, but that push came. I mean, that push couldn't have been a second later than what they did.
Yeah, that main body, you know, they took the risky play of defeating main body again.
Yeah.
And it actually worked this time. I mean, obviously it worked last time too, but it worked better this time. I was saying earlier, they gotta get the kills. They gotta finish him off. They gotta be able to sit a Banshee at Theta and let him just sit there the entire match and just protect the point.
And this time they did it.
And this time they did it, and I think they did it very cleanly. And while it was still a close fight, I think this was not necessarily Smoke Adders giving it away. This was Swamp Foxes winning the match, hands down.
Agree.
They deserve that one definitely, and they take the series 2-1 in a very, very exciting close contention against Smoke Adders. What a good match.
I almost feel bad for Kriven. He does everything he can. He's got the secret weapon, right? The spider with the cap accelerator, turning cap points left and right. But he gets into a situation where he has to win a one-on-one fight, and the spider just isn't the mech to do that on. And he tried. He was working hard. Odin Steel did a great job just staying alive. Was down to 33%, I believe, at the end of that, but managed to stay alive. The reinforcements finally came, and Kriven was forced off. Feel bad for him. He's in a situation trying to win that with 2 medium lasers on a spider. And if he had gotten that kill, I think they would have won it. I think he would have been able to flip that cap quick enough that would have given him the extra tickets, and I think they would have walked away with the win. But good job, Odin Steel, staying alive in the Wolfhound, 228 at the last second, pulling that win out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have a secret weapon, it has to have some sort of weakness, right? And right there, 1v1s with that spider is the weakness of the spider of that spider. So it just does not have the killing power. Kriven's a fantastic pilot. Those are center torso lasers though, so it's tough to necessarily consistently keep your burns on the component you want in a light fight. And there's just not a lot of DPS coming out of that mech. And well, they didn't necessarily kill each other, and he did work against that Wolfhound because they had the cap already, and then Kriven showed up to try and take it. If Kriven had that cap and was fighting to defend it, absolutely that would have been smoke adders all the way. But because they already had it and he was coming to contest it, they just had to stay on it and stay alive, and they did a great job. So what a fantastic set of gameplay here between Smoke Adders and Swamp Foxes. I was extremely entertained. I hope you guys were as well, and we'll have to see how that goes. So that means, as I said before, Swamp Foxes will be going up to play JGX next week, and then Smoke Adders will be dropping down to play either 228 Blackwatch or Phoenix Legion, whichever loses. So don't want to make any predictions on that for sure, but so far we've been surprised. I mean, we've seen upsets, we've seen things go, definitely, great teams losing drops and stuff like that. We've seen different strats used. I hope everybody's been enjoying the show so far.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a surprise for us this first weekend. Like we've said all along, it's our introduction as in me and you into stock competitive play. Obviously, we didn't watch the qualifiers. We couldn't watch the qualifiers. So watching it now, seeing the teams try these different strategies, these different mechs, and kind of how this paradigm of stock mechs is changing how the teams call matches, how they play matches. And we're seeing all 5 different maps get used. That's kind of exciting just for me.